So it says I'm live, and just gonna go with the flow. My connection is doing this weird thing. So hopefully, um, if anyone shows up, doesn't say there's anyone here yet. It says I'm live. So that, yeah. So there we go. All right. We will see how far I get with this one. I plan on getting this whole page done. That would be the plan. There isn't a whole lot to it. So hopefully I will be successful in finishing it. It is definitely, I mean, I don't know how basic it will end up being once I get into this. It's probably the least amount of sketching I did with the blue before I came in here to pencil it. Because a lot of what it's either going to just have the simplicity of what's here, or as I go, I might add stuff. I don't know. We will see. As usual, no real big, mind-blowing Rock of Ages, let's call the presses masterpiece-minded creation here. Just basic, super basic. And oh my God, don't even tell me I forgot. I know they're in here. I remembered to have this near me finally, so that I would not forget. Don't have to get up. I mean, I am pretty okay with freehand, and a lot of what I do doesn't require it really to be precise. That's kind of loud. Hi, it says there's 3 people watching me. Hello, welcome. So this is the 6th of 10 haiku pages. I have 5 fully sketched, painted, and photographed and done for the book. So I have 4 more to go. This one I had ready to have pencil added to it, and so I was like, let's just get it done. Later, I like getting these kind of prepped at the end of the night when I'm laying back and I put a movie on and maybe eat a snack or something. And yeah, they just come to me, whatever they are. I hope that reception is not the greatest. I don't even know if you guys are even going to be able to see anything of what I'm doing. So, oh my God, I can barely even see my lines here. Like, where are they? Here we go. And this panel is going to be a whole bunch of just really simple purple flowers. Nothing fancy. Hello, whoever is there. My watch. My one viewer. I usually have at least one person who sits and watches me. Don't know who that consistent one person is, but they are usually there. And I appreciate it. Like, I don't even know if you guys can see it, because to me, it looks like this camera isn't even receiving, because I don't know why it's saying connection is bad. Like, that's lame that it's doing that. Very weird. Very, very strange. Very strange. So, hopefully it starts working. I was going to try to turn the fan off to come on, but oh my God, it was just, yeah, it's so hot. Sorry. It is way too hot to try to do this without it. It's like, yeah, no, not going to happen. I'm like, we'll let you guys see. So I have another haiku here where I use just simple shapes of boxiness to get an image of what was there, the person, the man, the woman, whatever, without worrying about it being like this realistic representation of them, because most of the effect of these isn't about them being a realistic look anyway. And I'm going to paint them, use some digital manipulation anyway. So as long as I get the basic impression of what it is, a boy with a crown, it's pretty simple. That I get that conveyed, then I'm done. I'm good. Doesn't have to be some fancy, long drawn out drawing that takes me 3 million years. Put a couple of jewels in here. And my little circle guys. So when that's a weird sound. Don't know what that was. Something out back. Okay, so I need something to convey a separation of sorts here. I'm going to do that. And then there we go. Something like here. I need a line. Yeah. Okay. I need this robe. I need God's robe in the background to be separate from what's in the picture. So this is one of the few haikus in the book that talks about God and children and being a child of God, a daughter of God. And it's a poem. It's a haiku I wrote for my godmother, who is a woman that I can look to for pretty much anything, like life advice, wisdom. If I needed to improve my connection to God, talk about God, any of that, that's exactly what this haiku talks about. And actually, now that I think about it, this particular haiku is also about God, but it's not the one I wrote for my godmother. The one I wrote for my godmother has the cherub. I just realized. There's two haikus in this book that are inspired by the light of children, or being, too many adults have suffering in their lives because they don't allow themselves to be joyous like a child, or look at life like a child, or try to experience life like a child, taking life too fucking seriously. Way too many of us are like that. Way too many of us. I am definitely someone easily like that. And so this particular haiku, along with a lot of them, or with one of the other ones, that's what it speaks to. It speaks to that, trying not to take ourselves so seriously, and allow ourselves to be the children of God. And this one in particular is about letting the grace of God in, and embracing His grace and being willing to accept it, which it's actually harder than what some people may think it is. It's actually pretty hard to do, to allow, to tell yourself that you're worthy of it. A lot of people have trouble with that. I'm one of them. I definitely am one of those people that a lot of my struggle in having a relationship with a God had more to do with not feeling worthy of a relationship with God than anything else. Some of it was, there's a bunch of other stuff, but that was a big one. That was a really huge one. Was, I didn't want any part of me. So why on God's green earth, or any earth, or heaven? Oh my God, any of that. What on earth? I don't know what that stuff is up. Anyway, today I know different. I am 100% approved of, 100% loved, 100% perfect in the divine eyes, heart, hands, whatever you want to call it, Spirit of God. 100% approved. What the heck? It's not something I have to question anymore. Now I don't. It's what's nice about having a relationship with something, anything. For me, it can vary on a daily basis, and I try honestly not to even bother describing it. It's whatever comforts me. I've said that before. Like, when I really think about, like, what do I really want? What do I really believe? what do I really want to build a relationship with, or, what helps me get through a situation. It's always going to be whatever gives me comfort, if I'm comforted by it. The last thing I need, in addition to everything else that life presents to us, to normal, regular, just everything about life, the last thing I need to do is add to the strife of it by adding to the discourse, or adding to the problem, adding to the, God, I don't like conflict. I don't like conflict. I don't like having to argue. And when it happens, I'm getting to that. Well, it's nothing new. It's not new to me. I've still got lots of lessons to learn about not overreacting, not running away when something goes wrong or goes amiss. And instead of, talking about it, I'm like, throwing my hands up in the air and running away, basically. There's no other real way to put it. Everything else would sound like I'm sugarcoating myself or lying or bullshitting you, whoever may be listening, whoever that is that's watching. So I try not to do that. I'm trying not to do that. I'm trying to own myself and own the fact that, I am a runner, 100%. I don't like conflict to the degree that when it happens, I'm so anti-conflict that rather than deal with it or face it or have a discussion, I'll run. Because the thing is, I can fight. I can fight physically and I can fight verbally, and neither of them are really pleasant. They're just really not pleasant. And I'm probably going to leave scars, even if we're just talking, even if it's a conversation. If it gets ugly, I'm just going to leave really bad. It's going to get bad. And that's one of the reasons why I run from conflict. So it's an interesting place my conversation with myself went. It's so funny when I'm doing these now. I feel like this is kind of like this outward meditation out loud kind of thing. Like, here's my thoughts, by the way, to whoever's watching or watches later, just so you know, this is what I was thinking when I was sketching that, in case you're curious. So yeah, so that first panel goes with "She Always Loves Me," which is interesting because there's nothing really in this panel that signifies a she. Oh wait, that's not it. Oh my God, I'm so all over the place. Jewels of His Grace is the first panel. Jewels of His Grace. So it's just mainly kind of setting it up for where we're going. And then the next one talks about crowning with lavender. And that's where we get into the flowers. And this panel with the flowers that I'm going to use a lot of purples when I get to the part where I'm painting this. Real simple, there's a few of the haiku pages that have a little bit more of a there's a lot more story or a lot more to them, or I went a little further in the symbolism. This one, I don't know. When I was conceiving of it, it just seemed simple. Nothing too fancy. A cross, beautiful sun, God's light. And now I'm going to do some purple flowers. Me doing some flowers was bound to happen sooner or later. Sooner or later. I have a feeling this one's going to be a little more to the point and simple for colors as well, because I don't intend to do anything too crazy. Just simple colors with bold lines. And that's going to probably be about it for this one. I mean, I don't know. What the fuck I don't know what I just did right there. But we will call that a happy mistake, and I will figure out something to turn that into. I mean, it kind of is like a wild stem out in the middle of this, right smack in the middle of my flower. It's like, what the fuck is it doing there? Hmm. Oh, that's kind of cool. I just saw something on the page. That's interesting. It's interesting how I can see the shape of a woman in the midst of my flowers. And how amazing that is to see, where it just comes out of nowhere. And then before you know it, I've got the shape of a woman smack dab in the middle of my flowers. And it wasn't planned. Go figure. Go figure. She was definitely not planned. But there she is now. There she is. I have a shape of a woman in my flowers. And that's lovely. That is totally lovely. One of those things that, like, you know, yesterday when I was drawing with Rich Parada, we were talking about magic and the things our hands do when we're sketching, or, you know, just, it's kind of interesting. I think that's whatever just happened right there was totally magic. Because now that I have her there, I'm going to add something to make it obvious that she's there. There we go. I had to fix her underarm line because it didn't look, it's in the wrong spot for sure. Let's give her some hair. Part of the flower. Basically, she has no face because the flower is her face. That works. It works for me. I can see her. And that's really all that matters. Because when I get to the part of coloring her, I will probably make her a little more obvious somehow. There we go. And her other arm. Oh, yeah. Okay. I like that. Oh, yeah. I see her. I can see her. She's in there. Totally unexpected. Did not plan for there to be a woman in that panel. But, you know, there we go. There we have it. So, we are going to make the simplest of hands. We are not going to care about it being perfect. And I'm saying that out loud to myself because when I try super hard to make it exact, I end up fucking it up. And all we're going for here is a simple outline of a hand. Because once I color this, paint it, and manipulate it, long as you know it's a hand, that's as far as we need to go with that. Doesn't have to be anything too exact. What else with this church organ music? Makes me think of scary movies. Watch me get some copyright music infringement because it's probably in some movie. That would not shock me. It's like, you know, we're gonna copyright infringe you for Bach. You know, this guy who's not even alive anymore. I get it. I have no complaints really, because I mean, although for me, not being someone who is known, shoot, you want to steal my spoken word poetry? Go right ahead, man. Like, if you were so turned on by it, you got to steal my spoken word poetry album? All right. Go for it, Budley. Go for it. Can't even be mad at you. As Tupac would say, all I got is love for you. I'm not even mad. I love him. Definitely should not have been someone we lost already. So many of them. So many of the best ones are so gone already. It's sad. So sad. Oh yeah. This is cool. I'm glad, like, you know, when I get to this point where I'm at, and I'm getting closer to the part where I'm going to start putting color, I'm loving the fact that it's that the images are as simple as they are. I mean, yeah, it's going to be like a lot of big, wide open colors, spaces of color to put in here. Not complaining per se, but so funny. I'm so glad that I finally got to this. I got to this point with this project where I just started doing these pages like the way I used to do my work on paper. Very simple. Most of the work, most of the anything of value work-wise is with the painting, or what I do with them after they're painted. So far, I haven't sealed any of these, and I might not, but then again, I probably will. I was looking at one I did the other day, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna want to seal it. Okay, so I know I want to do a little something different down here. Wee. I don't know why, that just made me squeal like I was riding a kid's ride. That's funny. That is pretty funny. Cracking me up, cracking myself up. I need one more sun ray. So this is like super, super, super important, because I don't want, like, in some of my other ones, I really didn't care about the black bleeding in or mixing with the paint. But I know what I'm kind of hoping for up here. So I hope to get what I'm going for without it having a lot of muddiness is the way to put it. So I'm going to try to go as slow as I can. Because sometimes it's perfectly fine for me for black ink to mix in with my paint. It's not the end of the world on a normal basis. It really is not. But for what I want to do here, I don't want it to do that. So, and I don't want to have to go back and spend a lot of time making the black lines darker. I want them to be the way they are. If I have to, I will. I'll make it work. On some of my other pieces, that's kind of in some of the intention. I do some of that intentionally. I'm going to try not to be sloppy, impatient, lazy. Yeah, all of those. I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that and see what happens. That's perfect. Yeah. Okay. Super rad. I could, I could totally get, don't even, you fan, you. Because I could have done this first and then did the black lines. And that would have been perfectly fine. I don't know what is in my head right now to make me want to do it like this, but we'll go with it until I get tired of it. And then if I have to, I'll switch to the other method. That's one of the things I was talking to my friend today. There are some things that I do, and the way that I do it, I've done it for so long, or I've done it so many times that I have every confidence. Like, I don't have to question it because I know it works. I know it will work or whatever. And that's good to remind myself, because sometimes trying new stuff, doing some of the new stuff, like when I first started trying to figure out, like, I'm going to illustrate a page. I'm going to illustrate a haiku. I'm going to take a haiku and tell the story of the haiku with pictures. What? I mean, it seems like a simple concept. And I guess it is, but it wasn't at first. It kind of wasn't all that simple. So, yeah. And I'm still kind of excited about the other pages. So once I get this one done, I will have 4. No, I have 5 done. I have 5 total done. So then that means I will have 4. Yeah, 4 more, because this would be 5. I got 5 more to do, so this would be 5 of 4. You know what I mean? Anyway, so those other ones, I haven't done any of the concept yet. 2 of them are kind of light like this, where it talks about God or kids or whatever. And then there's one of them that's really dark. And I've done 2 of the haikus so far that were on the darker side. And I think I'm kind of like, they emotionally kind of got me. So I'm kind of doing these now, which is nice. It was like a nice change of pace emotionally. And then once I'm done with these, I can, work myself up to going back to the other ones and letting myself get back to those emotional ones. This one's very lighthearted, just talking about God's grace and jewels and being crowned by his glory, that kind of thing. It's very uplifting, nothing dark about it. Which is one of the reasons why I don't want it to be too muddy up here. I want it to be as bright, clear, clean orange as it can possibly be. And so far, so good. So far, I'm getting exactly what I wanted. It's like intuitively, you would think a sky would be blue. Of course. But I want it to be orange. So there. Oh, son of a bitch. See that? Motherfucker. Don't! Fucking fan. It's so hot that I had to have the fan on, and I turned it up to the highest setting. But now it's like, it's annoying because it's too high for what I'm doing, and it's making my page. I need, if I didn't have to turn the page around and come at some of the areas from different angles, I could tape it down, but whatever. I'll just have to be more careful not to let the page come up again like that. Luckily, that orange got on a part of the paper that although orange in the flower section part probably wouldn't, actually orange down there in general probably wouldn't have ruined anything. But yeah, could have been worse. Could have been worse than where it landed. And that is in a spot where it'll either get cropped out or cropped out of the scan or the photo. It won't make it into the book. Although I did give one of my pieces, I gave the whole page a border. I took the whole outside border of it and turned it black. I hadn't done that on any of the pieces yet. So I have at least one page that has a black border around the panels. That was a first for the book so far. That was kind of cool. I hadn't planned that. It just turned out that way. It looked good to make the sides and the outside part of the images. It needed to be like that. It needed to be dark on the outside. It was another one of those kind of on the more dark side of the moon. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. It's interesting. The cool thing I liked about the haiku project when I did it was, again, it's like one of the simplest little poems. It's 3 lines, 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5. And you think I was definitely one of those people that was like, oh, okay, I can do that. I can do a 3-line poem. Oh, but depending on what the prompt was, because some of the prompts were, loss, or the prompt was love, or whatever it was. And, then you're sitting there and you're like, whoa, okay. And then it's kind of one of those things where I love it. It reminds me, who is that? I think it's Einstein, who says, if you can't explain it simply, you probably don't understand it well enough, or something like that. And I love that because haikus are like that. Haikus are like this really basic 3-line simple way of conveying something super complicated or super complex, or a long story, or something with a lot of back information or a lot of emotion or whatever it is, depending on the haiku. Like this is Jewels of His Grace, crowned royal in lavender, adorn his children. That's the haiku. And at first glance, okay, she's talking about jewels of his grace. Well, for some people, they're automatically going to think about rubies and diamonds and those kind of jewels. And of course, that is what the poem is talking about. That's what I intended the poem to talk about. But one could go so far to say jewels of his grace could also be that we, a lead into the idea of jewels being a word that people think of when they think of a man's body's part. The family jewels, okay, if you get me. So to say jewels of his grace is another play on talking about being God's child, being of God, from God. And that's one of them. So there's that. So there you get the breakdown from me, the poet who wrote that line, and what I was going for. Then I get into this crowned royal in lavender. Well, lavender is a color long, ancient times. It's long been associated with royalty and sobriety. Lavender is one of those colors that's been, it's had a lot of meanings. It has a lot of different symbolism, the color lavender. For me, it definitely makes me think of God, because every single time I hear or think of God in lavender in the same sentence, if those two are in the same sentence somehow, I always think of the Alice Walker book, The Color Purple. Because much like in the movie, the book, of course, is way better. I don't know who out there. I don't know a movie out there that's better than the book. I haven't watched that movie yet. But anyway, having said that, let me come down off my little soapbox. Anyway, The Color Purple in the movie, they're talking about God, and Shug was telling Cecilia that she thought that God was vain, and that in the sense that if we see the color purple and we don't appreciate its beauty, it makes God mad, because he created those things for us to admire. He created beauty and gorgeousness, and I mean, I believe what you want to believe, but I've seen sunsets, or I've seen scenery that just makes me sit back and go, okay, I don't know what is up there, or what, if there is a God, whatever, but whatever made those things happen, holy moly. Some of the different colors that come out of a sunset, or just the beauty of all kinds of things about life. So anyway, when I say crowned royal in lavender, that's what I'm saying. We've taken this lavender, this purple, this representation of God's creation and beauty, and we're crowning ourselves with it, because that's what we are worthy of. We are not meant for anything less than that. We are meant to be crowned in his crowned in his grace and his love and his all of it. That's what we're built for. That's what he made us for. And then it goes into adorn his children. Adorn. So adorn is, we're wearing it, where, so many people don't really feel a connection to something or someone or God or whatever it is without a tangible representation. So for me, that was part of where that came from. That particular line for me came from because I'm like that. I'm definitely, I can believe, and I can not, I can believe without having an actual physical God. That's okay. I got that. I can do that. But I do, and I have had times where I feel comforted by holding a cross, or my prayer beads, or, physically being in a church as opposed to praying just anywhere. Those are things that adorning, the word adornment in the poem, that was one of the reasons why I used it. So, okay. So then we just get into a really super basic, brilliant, pasture, green field, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to make it just a real brilliant, simple green. Yeah, this is what's been really cool going through this process and playing with the apps on my phone just to kind of get an idea of some of the looks I want to go for when I'm doing the photo editing. I've gotten quite a bit of the visual in my head already of what this is going to look like once I put it on the computer. And that's, yeah. And I'm okay with, and like, cause I think what's nice about that, and probably what's made these last 2 pages I've done easier, is that I've done so many now at this point that I know I don't have to overthink it. I don't have to overdo it. I don't have to turn this into some, Sistine Chapel ceiling. Michelangelo would be so proud. I still have what some call a God pillow. I got it ages ago in early recovery. It's actually like the 3rd or 4th one I've had because I've been in recovery for 10 years. And so I've gone through quite a few God pillows. They get old, they wear down. Anyway, the very first one I ever had, I named it Adam because of that image on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. I just love that painting. I love that painting where Adam is reaching his hand out to God and their fingers are just about to touch. I will never want to do that. I've had someone ask me, I actually was asked a long time ago to do a mural. And I was like, oh my God. Back then, it just seemed so completely just alien and foreign to me, even just the thought of it. Because I, back then, hadn't done anything on canvas. And now, like I think about it and I'm like, I could totally see that. I don't know how good it would be. I've only done one really, 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 really big piece, and she could have been better. She's good. She's fine. I mean, she was bought, so someone loved her. Yes, and the man who bought her actually does love her, like for real, legit loves her. Like I love. It's almost as if I found it was almost as if when, I didn't go looking for him to buy her. I didn't even expect him to buy her. He just out of the blue was like, I'm going to buy her. And I'm like, oh, yay. Okay. And it was perfect because emotionally it was just perfect because he literally loves her. Like, I know she's a painting. She's not a real person, but, the reverence he has for her is the same reverence I have for my paintings. And so it's really nice. That part of it with my buyer that bought pink, Papa Joe, that's who bought it. And I know he won't mind me saying his name. Papa Joe bought pink. He loves her. And I love that he loves her. It makes me feel very joyous and happy to know that not only did he buy her, but she is so well loved where she is. And that's just funny. It's like that to me is more important than actually if I were to like sell a painting. I mean, the idea of someone buying my art was foreign to me 6 years ago, but now it's like, oh, okay. Oh, son of a bitch. Way too much water on that. So we will fix that little happy mistake, our Bob Ross moment. I had a Bob Ross moment. Check me out. It's okay. We will live. It's not the end of the world. I had a feeling it wasn't going to, it's like I didn't want it to be, I wanted the actual brush to move. I didn't want to have to force the paint. And so, yeah, I knew I was using probably more water than I needed to. So, oh well. I will let it dry so that I can then look at it and make the best decision about how to fix it. It's so funny when I get to that. Some of it, it's like almost like being a surgeon. It's like, okay, oh, yep, we got to go in. I'm going to need, some Vicryl. I've never done stitches in my life. Not worked in healthcare, but I'm not a clinician. So, but yeah, seeing what I'm going to have to do there, it's going to be, I'm going to be tackling that later, like I'm doing surgery on this painting. It's like, okay, we need to fix this, but we need to make sure we don't mess it up further. I was just sharing that today, that there's actual parts of some of my paintings that the only reason the painting is the way that it is because of an accident. And it ended up making it more unique than I expected, which is kind of cool. So sometimes that's kind of why I don't want to make an accident necessarily on purpose, but it's one of the reasons why I've learned to be okay with them when they happen, because I've gotten some real good, creative, interesting results from having to fix them, So we will see what I do in this little corner over here. Yeah. Paper. I got out a palette that is not the one I've been using over the last week, because some of these colors, they're all very similar, but they're a little less bright, and that's kind of why I got them out, because I've done so many super bright stuff, which is fine. But when every now and then I kind of like, I kind of want to try to do a pastel. I always laugh when I say that. Kind of. I think about it. I usually never do, but I think about it. It's like I romanticize the idea. I romanticize pastels, and then I break up with them, the idea of it. I break up with them before I even get into the relationship with the pastels. Like, no. Like, pastels, I'll pass. I'm going to pass. That's so weird. I feel like that's what I do. Okay, so now this ought to get interesting, because I've got this woman that came into my painting. I don't know where she came from, but she decided to plop herself in here. And so I'm going to paint her first to try to have her distinguishable first before I do the flowers. It's kind of interesting in a big way, because she was not the plan. She was definitely not the plan. And now I'm going to do my best to make her stand out more so than the flowers. So this should be interesting. We will see. We will see. I've had that happen a couple of times. You know, I'll be like in the middle of one of my pieces, totally like I had the guy, I think it was the very first page I did, the very first haiku panel page I did. I was actually sketching a horse sleeping, and a man appeared on my page out of nowhere. And then I sketched him, and he became a part of the painting. And that wasn't planned. The horse was planned. Yes, the horse was definitely planned. Page without him. I couldn't imagine that particular concept of that page without that man in the painting looking over the horse, and that's just kind of cool because he's actually standing in this way. I mean, he's meant to be a dark figure, but one could interpret it how they want. They can interpret the man as being a protector of the horse while he's sleeping, or something else. You know, it's really, because I mean, it could go either way, really, with however someone could be interpreting that. Kind of think I should have done a darker color for her dress, but that's okay. We will see how it goes. We will see. I just love her. I don't know what happened. I mean, I just dig it. I'm super excited right now that she appeared as I was doing the inking. Something about the way I did the lines for those flowers and the stems, and boom, there's a figure. Oh, check her out. Part accidental, part probably the fact that that's kind of how I do a lot of female form in a lot of my paintings. So, who Lord knows? It doesn't matter because she's in there now. She is pretty and she's in there now. So I don't know who's watching, my single viewer. I'm so not alone. I wonder if I'm actually even being watched. I don't even know. Maybe it just has one because I'm in the feed twice. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I am my viewer. That would be funny. If this whole time I thought I had this one random devoted follower who's in all of my streams, and it would be funny to find out that it's me because I'm in the stream twice with two cameras. That would be funny. That'd be kind of funny. Oh yeah, no, this is a perfect color choice. Because it stands out to give the one figure of her in the background that clear, precise view of her. But it's going to be perfectly contrast to the purple I'm going to use for the flowers. And it's kind of cool. I mean, we're talking about crowned royal in lavender. And even though she's not being crowned, she will have lavender flowers all around her. And her face is a flower, which is kind of interesting. That's so me. That would be so something I would do. I mean, been known to turn body parts into other things so that I don't have to draw the body part. I'm not even gonna lie, you know, and go alert the presses that I do that in my paintings. So there you go. I want the background. One of the pieces I was practicing with last night, I was using this particular color, and I couldn't get over how much I liked it. I was like, oh, how have I not, like, I don't remember it. I mean, I've probably used, clearly I've used it before, because it's not, I mean, it's a color that, it's not almost, actually, clearly I've used it because comparatively to the other shades, it has been used quite a bit. Anyway, I was digging it. I was digging it last night, and I'm digging it now. And so there. So there. It's cool. One of those colors. I don't even know what to call it. It's kind of like a brown. It's kind of like a purple. It's kind of like a red. I don't know what you would call that. I don't know. But I like it. But I like it. I like it. I like it. It's my girl. Can you see her? She came through. Yeah, it's cool. It's like I see one thing like this, but then I look at the screen and I'm like, whoa. Yeah. That's amazing that she came out of nowhere. It's almost kind of creepy. In a good way. You know? Like not bad, really. So huh. It's so weird. This doesn't let me just let me put it on repeat. Oh well. Oh well. It's probably a good idea I got this palette out to use it, because some of these colors are clearly getting dried up. I mean, of course, they're watercolors, and, you know, I don't know that they can get past a point of no return to bring them back with some water, but I'm glad I got them out, because some of these are like, ooh, it's pretty damn dry. So far so good. What color do I want to make her hair? I don't want it to be too dark. I want it to be clearly hair. I'm going to use purple flowers. I should make her blonde or chestnut, like a really orangey kind of
blonde, yellowish brown kind of thing.
Redhead. Ooh. Let's see, her dress is this fuchsia pink kind of thing. Okay, I do need to color God's robe separately from her hair. What color do I want to make his robe? Oh my God, all these decisions. I'm just going to make it brown. You know. So clearly, since I'm making God's robe this color, I'm not going to make her a brunette. I cracked myself up. It's so funny. I was thinking, God, even if I knew how to do this digitally, I don't know that I'd want to. I think I would still want to sit here with the quiet of my palette and some water and a brush and do what I'm doing the way I'm doing it. It's comforting, relaxing. I enjoy this. This makes me very happy. The only thing there's only two things that would be more exciting than this. One would be to be with the man I love, and the other would be to be with my kids. And not necessarily in that order. But yeah, those would be the only two things I could think of that I would choose to do instead of this if I had to choose something. That's it. That would be it. Well, and food. I could totally go for some yummy food right now. What time is it? Oh, okay, good. I have a feeling I'll be done in time to go get something for dinner. Something for dinner. I'm not that hard to figure out. Feed me. Let's talk about art. Maybe listen to some music. Yeah, it's easy. Simple. Doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. Oh yeah, it's like this super dark. It's almost black. It's fine. I like that. Totally one of those things. It's like, oh, let me get this out of the way. Get this big chunk of the background done. And then I can just like go back to like, I almost feel like what I'm doing right now is kind of like the maintenance. It's like the background type of color of what's in the back. And then I can come back to doing the front stuff that is meant to be the exciting parts, you know, the crown and the flowers and the girl, all these parts of the painting. That's way more interesting than this big brown coat jacket thing. You know, and it could be God, or it could be a monk, or it could be whatever the hell would wear a big brown, you know. I was thinking when I was drawing it, I was thinking of Althastan from Vikings. I definitely have this thing, and I'm not unique. Because I was talking about it with one of my friends, is that like I get this way with whether it's a character in a movie or a character in a book. They get very personal. They become this very personal thing, very real personal thing. Holy crap, I've been online for an hour. Wow. That's, wow. Yeah, whatever. I guess it makes sense. I kind of did the whole thing. I penciled, inked the very little basics of the outline so that I'd have my outline for painting. So it is kind of all one piece in one sitting, which is fine. I kind of knew I was going to be able to do it that way, knowing what it was I was painting. That's hair. This is, okay. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, what did I draw there? What is what? Make this part of the robe. And I think I might make her hair black. That would be a striking contrast to the purple flowers for sure. Definitely a super, super, super dark contrast. But then so would yellow. Just a really bright yellow. Because I know, like, when I start playing with these on the computer, having something super light next to something super dark definitely makes for some interesting patterns when you start messing with the contrasts and the color schemes and the brilliance and all that jazz. All that jazz. So, okay. Let's see if I can do this without it being muddy. Yellow is definitely one of those colors that, as hard as you may try, it's not impossible. But yeah, it's definitely one that you could super easily make super muddy, super easily. And the key is to not overthink it, because it's just yellow. It doesn't need to be too dark. It doesn't need to be too thick, I guess is a word for it. Just get it over the page, over the section or whatever, and leave it. Let it dry. Doesn't have to be worked into it. Doesn't have to be patterned into it. Doesn't have to be blended. That is not necessarily the case on canvas, but for the purpose of what I'm doing here, for the effect I'm going for, that is 100% truth. Just need it in the spaces it is in to color the white. That's it. Doesn't have to be blended and fancy, because that is definitely one of those colors that when you put it on the computer and you scan it and you start playing with the contrast and stuff, it just becomes one solid color. It'll work itself out. Or you could actually remove it because it's so light, depending on some of the effects. It's not even yellow anymore. It just becomes kind of a white area. So far so good. I went with yellow instead of black because the robe is so dark. I didn't want black right next to it. And then I intend to come back through this and do super purple flowers. I haven't decided if I'm going to use the dark purple or the lavender. We will know in a minute, actually, when
When my brush gets some water and it goes to the palette, it'll decide. It'll decide which purple are we going to go for tonight. It's like, you know, whoever's out there watching, we don't know. It's a crapshoot. The verdict is out on what color purple we're going to use for the purple flowers. We know they're going to be purple, but we don't know what shade. Not yet. Not yet. See, now I want to do a painted flower girl like this on canvas. I love that. I love everything about the sass to the little hip thrown out like she's got. Everything about her. And she was not even planned. I love it. I love it. She came out of nowhere, and look at her. She's taking over the page. This girl behind a flower. You, Missy. I don't know who she is, but she's like, hey, hi, how are you? She said hi to me, and there she is from the behind the scenes. And here we go. Okay, so we are using the middle purple. So I have, in this palette of watercolors, I have 3 purples. I have a super dark one, I have a lavender, and then I have this. So this is, here it comes. So this is the purple we've decided to use for our purple flowers. Okay, so this is what we got. Now part of the whole point of this is I don't need to use 2 different colors to get a whole different texture of painting with this, because the purple itself will do that for me. Just, you know, it's the beauty of watercolors. You come at it with a certain brush stroke or a certain angle, darker in one spot than another. It does all of that for you. You don't have to use a lot of different color paints. Watercolor, it'll do that for you. Do all of that for you. This one color. Well, it said 2 people were there for a minute there. Now I'm back to my one lovely follower. I love you, whoever you are. Thank you for being there, so that I'm not alone. And this is what's cool. Like, I'm gonna make this whole like center part go in like that a little bit. Woo. I didn't intend to do that. Okay, so this one, I got a little more water on the purple in the palette. So it's same shade, same paint, but a much lighter shade of purple came out this time because I had more water than in there than the first one, which is fine because I'm going to. That's fine. I like that. I like, you know, you have one petal super dark, another same kind of shade family, a little different, shades off a little bit. That's perfectly fine. Because, you know, for me, it'll look like I did it intentionally. And that's some of the, like, the more I started actually finishing my paintings or finishing my work or moving past stuff like this. Back when I was younger, I'd get to a point with some of it and I'd be like, you know, for whatever reason, if it didn't fit what my mind wanted it to fit, I'd put it away. I'd quit. I wouldn't necessarily throw it away. I'd keep all my stuff, but I'd put it away. I'd put it in the closet. And, you know, I did that for years. I had all these unfinished started pieces hidden away. And it's cool. I've been sharing about it. I've shared about it a few times this week, how a little over 6 years ago, after a conversation with an ex-boyfriend, I got all those pieces out, got them all out, and finished them all. Finished every single one of them. That was a serious accomplishment. It really, really was. Super proud of that. A lot of those pieces are done. A lot of those pieces are perfectly, beautifully finished, and they are available. They're in a binder. Some of them are in my portfolio book. And I love them. You know, like some of them came out so good. I was like, whoa. I don't know why I was sitting on that. And there was a few that they were so old. The paper was old. I shared about this too, about how I ruined a few of them because they couldn't be salvaged. They could not be finished. The paper, they had just sat for too long. You know, I converted some of them. I remember I converted from being charcoals to watercolors. I turned a few charcoals into paintings, actually, where the unfinished piece that I came across was a charcoal. And then I either finished it in charcoal, some of them, or I got the paints out and turned them into paintings. One of the ones I ruined, I don't think I have it. I think I ruined it. It wasn't on purpose. I accidentally ruined it. Was a painting of a snake in a tree. It was this beautiful black and white charcoal painting. Or, well, charcoal's not really paint, but anyway, I don't remember why. I think it had to do with the fact that there was just the paper. It was so black. There was so much black. And then I tried to make it darker or something. I don't know. Anyway, I ended up not liking it at all, ruining the paper. I think I put a hole in the paper. One of these days, I can still see that snake. I don't think I took a picture of it. Anyway, I should have. I'd like to recreate it on canvas because I think the effect I was going for, the thing I was trying to do on the paper, I'm fairly certain I could accomplish quite easily on canvas. That's the thing about paper. Paper's fine. Like I can do this, like what I'm doing right now with watercolors, even if I got it super wet. Like I did one of my pieces yesterday. I did a old technique called, basically takes paper and turns it into almost a newspaper kind of texture because you use so much water. And the benefit of that is that it becomes kind of translucent because of it, because of what it does to the paper. And I did that with one of my pieces yesterday. It was pretty cool. I was excited by it. I think it came out pretty good. Now, the question I have for myself now, and I've already answered it, you guys, whoever's watching. I'm going to make this one a different shade of purple. I've got my two big, bright purple ones, and now I'm going to use lavender here, which is kind of, lavender is in the poem. The word lavender is in the poem for this particular panel, actually. So in a way, this is really the only lavender we're going to see in this whole panel is this one middle. Technically purple in general can be interpreted as lavender, but they could all be interpreted as lavender. Different shades of purple, whatever. But that is our lavender. So, and it's so pretty. It's funny, like that had to do with the way that I did this particular petal, more as a petal as opposed to a full flower. I think that had a lot to do with why I ended up with this waistline in here that got me down the hole of like, oh, there's a chicken here, man. Like there's a woman in my painting. Check her out. And right smack in the middle of this whole thing, we have a petal. Now, do I want it to be, which green do I want? Which green? Oh. Ah, there it is. This is it, you guys. This is the green. Someone is live or something. I just got a notification about something. Someone tweeted something. Something. Lord knows. Who knows? I was thinking about my brother. So I was thinking about like timing, like how I've been on for so long and I'm not done and I'm coming up on an hour and a half. And I was like, those Twitch gaming people go on there and they'll be gaming for 4 or 5 hours. So, maybe I'll just be one of those people. I'll just sit here and paint and color and sketch live until enough people come on and catch me and go, oh, hey, what's going on over here? Let me check out this chick's channel. I'm kidding. I mean, I'm not kidding, but it's kind of funny. The idea of it. Chances are, though, I will finish this page and go off because I need the bathroom and I want to eat and yeah. So there. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, so the other thing I want is I'm going to do this little thing down here can be green, like another leaf kind of thing. Then that's kind of interesting. I just realized that the centers of these purple flowers, these centers, one is literally like smack in the middle of what would be her face, and the other one is literally right over the yoni. I find that really fascinating. Not intentional. 100% was so not intentional. And I find that super fascinating. And just blowing my mind right now. So, I'm going to make them bright orange. And she will be done. And when they dry, I might add some little dots, some little blue dots or something there. Okay, so now we get into this little bottom section, and we're going to add just another background color behind the guy. I'm going to probably do my prince last. He is basically a prince being crowned. I talk a lot about being a daughter of God, which I am. I totally am. Me and God go way back. We have a thing. He is my best friend. He really, really is. And when I have a couple of projects on the, what do you call it? In the hopper, like bingo. So I have Le Premier Tome, which is this volume 1 of the haiku series that I just started this year. Came to me after having it suggested to me to illustrate my poetry. Thank you, Pops. And then I'm going to finish the other poetry collection that I have written that I have some illustrations done for it. Couple of paintings. I have a few painting ideas, images ideas for it that I'm going to have to reach out to some people and have them be willing to model for a few of the pieces. If not, I will just, I'll go online and I'll use people I love. Like I want to do a male nude in the book, and I'm either going to use a real live living breathing man that I know, or I might use Nick Hawk, and I don't think Nick Hawk would care if I utilized one of his nudes as a point of reference for a painting. I really doubt he would mind. So there's that. And then so anyway, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this, get this done, then do that. Then I am either going to work on going back to the fact that he's a prince. Okay, so he's a prince and God is crowning him. And part of one of the books that my next meditation diva meditation book is going to be for men and women, because the first one I did, and I published it last year, it's a prayer 21-day journey relationship prayer book for women to have a 21-day relationship with God. And I'm going to do something similar to that, but for men and women, or for men only. I haven't really decided. I kind of want to do it for both Diva, Devo, Alpha, Beta. I kind of want to do a yin yang, male, female, fire, ice kind of thing for the whole entire theme of the book, because I get that a lot. For me, and I don't even need to go into any big long diatribe explanation of where I'm going at with that. If you're listening, or you watch this, or someone watches this later and they want to ask, call me, message me, Diva Dory, Diva Daily Living. That's my other page. It's the page I use to guide, mentor, assist, be of service to people who need me in that realm, in that world, spiritually. So I got the idea because I want to incorporate guidance in that spiritual meditation book for men, because I think that that's, a whole bunch of reasons. One being that I am a mother of boys and I have 2 sons. I definitely know that the relationship with God isn't just for the women. It isn't just for the daughters. It is also for the men. And they have their own relationship with God. I can't remember who said it. I don't know where it came from, but God doesn't have grandchildren, is the phrase. And it's probably old. Who knows who scripted it? But basically, we all have a direct line as a child to God, depending on what you believe. And you don't have to believe it. Some days I don't. It just depends. But it works for me. It comforts me. So going back to like this haiku, and some of that book is going to be about that. It's going to be about that direct lineage, that direct line. The fact that there's no genealogy here when it comes to that, when it comes to the relationship with God. So one of the beauties of some of the teachings that I've had over the course of my life, that I allowed myself to go read up on, and ancient history, ancient beliefs, ancient cultures, ancient stuff, way back, stuff that even existed before the days of the New Testament. So a lot of it goes back to truly being of the divinity, the divinity, a divinity, being a divinity, being creation. That is a whole concept that goes way back. And that's going to touch on, so the meditation book's going to be about some of that. It's going to be about some of that. It's also going to incorporate some of the poetry that I have done about tapping into the parts of our inner child that helps us protect us as adults. When we learn that, part of what I need to do in my choices in my life now, when it comes to choices for relationships or whatever, work, whatever it is, I have to take that inner child into consideration, because what I do today affects that, whatever that is, whether it's an emotion or it's just tapping into my childhood, whatever it is. Part of some of the struggles I can have today, and as an adult woman, will tie directly into my treatment of myself and that little girl on the inside kind of thing. Oh, okay. So yeah, so there's that. No, yeah, no, I don't know. We will see. I kind of like this color. It's very similar to the background color, but that's okay. Because I am not one of those people that believes God is white. So there. We will go with orange. A desert orangey kind of color. That works for me. I definitely, enough about world history to know thinking God is a white, blue-eyed man is very naive. Oh my God! If that offends anyone, you can unfriend me. Cause yeah. So there, I said it out loud. That's about as out of my normal whatevers I'm gonna ever go. That's about it. Otherwise, my God is love. Let me go back to that. So this is cool, and I'm like kind of digging the fact that I'm not even sure I'm gonna even bother going back and putting any darker black to the lines that I've painted over, and for a few reasons. Kind of just, I don't know, we'll see. I did that with one of my paintings. I took a picture of it, went online, kind of manipulated it a little bit here and there on the computer, and then I did go back in, and I chose to, I added some paint to some of the lines, but nothing like what I would have done. Like if I had just done the whole thing, like if I'd gone from the top to bottom and redid all the black lines, it would have taken away from some of the effects I got from the painting. And so I will probably do the same thing with this. I will probably let it dry, take the picture, and pull it up on the screen and look at where I feel like it needs some separation of color or some contrast, and I will proceed accordingly. I will probably do it that way again with this one, similar to what I did with that other one, because it was good that I didn't add a bunch of black lines back to that one I had done, because I like, I do like bright colors. Yes, I like bright colors. Hi, sis. But I also have to admit that sometimes I do get carried away, and I could probably get away with something way more subtle if I just be patient and I step away from it and pause or take a deep breath and look at it. Take a break, rest my eyes. That's what's important. Like, for anyone who's out there, if you are an artist, if I could give you any advice, is if you feel like if it's not what you think, or if you feel the piece you're working on isn't what you want it to be, step the fuck away from it. Put it down and walk away. I mean, for real, because I've done that, and I have come back to stuff and went, what the hell was I even worried about? Like, this is fine. Or I've come back to it, and what I it comes to me what I want to do to get the look I want. Taking a pause and a breather. Oh my God, it has saved me from throwing away so many pieces over the course of my I was going to say career. Well, 6 years as a career. I mean, even though it's a lifetime, but technically we'll say 6, because that's when I started to really try, really putting this out there as artwork for people to just enjoy or buy or whatever you want. Here I am. There you go. But yeah, that would be my main piece of advice for anyone, is to, if you get stuck, put it down and walk away, and then give yourself a break and then go back to it, because that has helped me a lot. Step back. Yes. Right, sis? Like it makes a huge difference. Like, I've had pieces be way better by taking that pause. And then I've had other pieces that were just fine, and the pause just reassured me that they were fine, and I had no reason to be worried. It has gone a couple of different ways when I've done that. So yeah, it's a good piece of advice, I think. So that's so cool. I'm so happy you're here, sis. That's so exciting. I've been at this for a while, and it's taking longer than I even expected, but that's okay, because this piece, I actually did the whole thing in one sitting. When I started, it wasn't even penciled. So I penciled it, I added the black lines, and then now I've been painting it. It's all been this one piece in this one sitting. And it's the 6th haiku I'll have done. So when I get done with this page, and barring maybe not having to go back and adding any additional blocking, like when I do any of the blocking to it. I'm sure there's a technical name for that. I'll ask my man later. Anyway, yeah. I'll have 6 pages done, which means I'll have 4 left. I'll have 4 more haikus left, and then I'll be done with these panel story pages for the book. So I don't know why I didn't get the notification that you're live. I had it set, but it turned out that, I've had that happen to me too. So I don't know if you've been following these, sis, but basically these are similar to a comic book page. They're panel pages, and they're the 3 different representations of a haiku. So this particular haiku is, we've got, a cross and stuff at the top, and then God is crowning a boy. And this woman came out of nowhere. She literally came out of nowhere. What's the type of paper? It is literally copy paper. I literally printed these on copy paper, because these are the art. This is the art, but these are all going on the computer. I'm going to be scanning and photographing them and digitally editing them for the illustrations in the book. And I've been playing around with some of the ideas. I was talking with my love earlier, and he gave me the best advice. He said, make sure you just do what's authentic. I can often not even know how to articulate my own artwork. And sometimes it's taken other artists to say to me something I can't articulate. And that's what he said today. He said, that because of the organic nature of what I'm doing, to try not to do a lot of crazy manipulation or editing or whatever, which is exactly, like, I was kind of on that anyway, but he said the way he said it made perfect sense, because I thought originally when I started this project, I thought I was going to want to do all this fancy stuff to them. I was going to want to turn them into these like total graphic illustrated comic book looking, like cartoonish type things. And those are cool. Like some of the ones I'm playing with on my app, when I change them on the app, they're great. They're actually fun. But when I got down and I sat down and I started doing the PDF, or not the PDF, the publishing pages, I was designing each one. Basically each page is like on the computer. It's like its own publication, really. Is how it's turning out to be. I need to get off my butt and get more of my stuff done. You're so sweet. One at a time. That has made this whole process possible. Like I come on and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to sketch. Okay, I'm just going to do the ink. Okay, like, and now this one, the only reason I did all 3 stages of this one was because I quite literally knew I was just going to sit here and paint. I just wanted to, however long it was going to take me, I was going to do at least one of these from start to finish. And, I've seen a lot of people, as long as I'm comfortable, as long as I don't need to go to the bathroom, as long as I don't need to eat, I can finish one. And I think I'm going to make it just in time. Like, I think I'm going to get okay, what color did I just use? Oh, I'm like, oh my God. I've done that before, like where my watercolor, I didn't use a lot of water. And so by the time I go back to the palette, I go, wait, what did I just use? Because it's already dry and I need to put more water. And that was what just happened to me. So what's cool is that these pieces, where do you get your inspirations from? So this is here is the perfect way to explain it. So the haikus themselves were written last year. Most of these were written last year. So this haiku that you're watching me draw or paint is called, where's my camera at? It's called Jewels of His Grace, crowned royal and lavender, adorn his children. So the haikus themselves were part of a workshop where it gives you these word prompts, and you take the word and you just try to create a haiku that conveys what that word was. Like that was probably about spirituality, or it was probably about kids, or who Lord knows what the prompt was. But that's the haiku that I wrote. So then I take the haiku and I get this panel in front of me, this blank sheet of paper, and I look at each line. And so for me, the line Jewels of His Grace, I wanted right away, even though the top panel is for that line, and there's no jewels up here, but it's clearly a representation of God. The fact that there's a cross and the sun, and for me, that was a strong presentation of grace. So that's where that came from. And then the next line in the haiku talks about adorning ourselves with God's lavender being a color of royalty, a color of spirituality, a color of sobriety. Lavender has a lot of spiritual history. So that's what I did, sis. I just took each line of the haiku and visualized something that would represent it symbolically. And that this one was fairly simple. And then of course down at the bottom I've got, the line is adorn his children. So what better way to represent that than I've got, coming from underneath this sunlight, I've got God's hands putting a crown on a prince. Simple, right? Thank you. So that's each page is like that. So in the haiku series, each haiku, there's 10 of them. So each volume is going to have 10 haikus. That was just a decision I made because I had 8 written. And I wrote 2 extra to have an even number, to have a 10. I wanted something about the 10. Now 12 technically would be a more spiritual number, but I'm not even going there. 10 is enough for me. Although I hear myself say that out loud, and I know that 12 would be more godlike. 12 is one of those disciple numbers, but I'm going to go with 10. So I've got 10 haikus. I've got 10 single page pieces of art already done. And hey, sis, don't let me forget. I will send you the PDF draft of the first part. So, because what you're seeing me do here is the second part of the book where I'm doing the story pages. I've already done single page art for each haiku. That I have done and pretty much ready in a sample I can send you. That is the one that my guy was looking at. He looked at it earlier, and he was talking about how I should try to just stay as simple or as organic as I can when it comes to what I'm going to do with the photos, because even though I took photos of some of these, when I went back, I actually prefer the scan of them as opposed to the photo. The scan is a lot clearer with like the colors and the, yeah. And so anyway, so I took the scans and I just, honestly, mostly all I really did was edit some of the contrast and some of the brightness and brilliance, and I did change the color on a few. Like I made one of them pastel. It's funny, I colored it and painted it this super crazy bright, and then in the book itself I muted it down and I turned it into a pastel because it just made sense. But I've got both. I mean, of course, I've got all the original art. So if I wanted to do a colorful, but anyway. So what's cool is each volume is going to have 2 editions. So it's going to have the full color graphic illustrated book, but it's also going to have a coloring book. So the second edition is the exact same pages with the exact same images, but without any color. And so each edition will have 2. So that way, if someone wants, they can have the storybook, or if they want, they can just buy the coloring book and they can go through here and turn these pages into, these pages into their own color schemes, whatever they choose, whatever they feel for them is their palette. Because I think everyone's choices in colors is very different. Like what one person, like I'm taking a crown of a boy, I called him a boy. I mean, he could technically be considered a girl. He's androgynous enough. And of course, the crown's going to be purple and pinks because it's part of the poem. It's part of the word lavender being in there. I'm kind of throwing this in there. That's why the crown is these colors, by the way, in case anybody watching wanted to know. Now you know. So, but yeah, I'm almost done. I just have a couple little pieces of him left to do. To turn here, purple. I'm going to do some purple lines, darker purple over the pink. Give it some depth there. And that's the cool thing is like this doesn't have to be perfect because I'm going to put this on a computer and I'm going to enhance it or with some of the graph, or what do you call it? Just even honestly, okay, so just taking contrast and cranking that crazy on a picture is enough to make it what I want for the book. A few of them, that's all I did. That is literally all I did to the picture was change the contrast and maybe the brightness. And that was it. And it was perfect. It was exactly what I wanted. And what's cool is you're using watercolors and regular paintbrush. Yep, absolutely. And I did, and I'll show you because I'm actually, I want to show you this one I did. I think I have one I can show you it with. I have this practice piece. I had used this piece and practiced with it. And I did this technique last night, and I've done it before. So this is done. So basically this is done. I think the only thing I can imagine I might do is I'm going to probably come back in with some black to redo his face to give me the features of his face. Other than that, I think he's fine. So one of the things I was talking about that I did the other night or the other day is it's I don't know what people call it. We're going to have video chat so you can show me other stuff, but not tonight. I'm getting very sleepy. Okay. Well, I was just, it wouldn't, yeah. I'm here. I don't know if you're still there. I'm going to do it anyway because I was going to do this. So if you're here, sis, you will see. But this is basically a page, a regular sheet of paper with just black ink. And she is probably gone, but whatever. I'm going to do it anyway. So, basically I'm going to take this and I'm going to do the whole page like this with this paint. I did this with one of the pieces the other night because I wanted it to look super distressed and super old and like the paper was newspaper almost. And then the picture effect that comes at the end. When I've gone and done this on a piece of paper or made a piece, oh, you're here. It literally makes the paper translucent. And don't be afraid. Like, I mean, it's just regular copy paper, but don't be afraid, because when you're dealing with watercolors, as long as you're careful and you let it dry before you brush some of this, because what's happening is I'm going to have to go back and brush some of the pieces of the paper that's coming up, which is fine. But if I wait till it's dry, it won't rip if I'm really careful. But basically, all I'm doing is distressing it with this one color and water. And it's totally fine if it's uneven. And what's really cool is you get to a certain point, like I am now, where it's basically got the color on it that I want. So now that it's got the color I want, all I'm going to do now is go back over it with one coat of water, just the water, to kind of blend it a little bit around. So what I'm going to end up with is I'm going to end up with this super slate gray color to this page that once it's super dry, when I go and I paint watercolor on this, it's insanely how pretty. It's insane how pretty it is. It really is. And then when all is said and done, it's super simple. You get it painted, you let that dry. All you have to do then to be done is spray it with a gloss acrylic spray to seal it, and that's it. And what's crazy about if you use a gloss acrylic spray, it literally will take this matted, muted color thing, whatever you did, and it will turn it into this glossy acrylic looking piece. It's a trip. But so there, I mean, that's all I was going to do. Would it be easy to take the sides down? Yeah. I mean, for this, I wouldn't, if you were going to do something like this. The only reason it's so funny you asked that, because earlier I said that. The only reason I have never taped my art down when I'm working on it is because I like to be able to get into it with a certain angle of my hand and my wrist, and I don't like to I don't want to move. So I move the art around a lot. So that's probably one of the reasons. That's actually one of the big reasons why my stuff I don't tape it down, because I'm going to move it around while I'm working on it. It's the same thing when I'm working on a canvas, man. I will hold a full-on canvas in my hands to paint on it. I can't. I tried using an easel. Doesn't work for me. It's not my thing. So not my cup of tea. You can also take a dry brush to go at it, and because what happens is when and it's fine. There's literally pieces of paper that came up that is bumpy on here, and that's all I'm brushing off, because as it dries, those little pieces are super easy. They brush right off, and then I will end up with this really sharp gray slate, and it will dry. Now I have painted these wet. I painted them wet, but I would like this one because it's a grave. I'm going to wait until it's done, and I'm going to use a silver acrylic, and I'm going to come in here with some silver acrylic, because I want this one to basically stay super black and gray and maybe a little bit of white, and that's about it. So yeah, so that's this one. I don't know if I'll paint it online. It's part of the other book. It's not part of the haiku series. It's part of the burlesque one. But I'm glad you were here, sis, because look at what you got me to do it while you were here. Because I knew I was going to do that to this page. I just hadn't planned on doing it yet. So I got to do it with you here. That made it extra special. So I am done for the evening. It's 8:08, and I am super done. I'm going to go find something to eat. And I think thank you to whoever got to sit in and watch. And sis, I'm so happy you were here. We'll definitely need to do this for sure. We should pick a time, and I can have you come into the studio and we can sketch together. I sketched last night with Rich Parada. I don't know if you had a chance to catch that video. He is an incredibly talented genius artist. Oh my God, he's just, his work is so good. And he spent a half an hour in here with me yesterday live sketching with me. I was so starstruck sketching with him though, because whole different world. Same thing. All right, babe, I gotta go too. Love you, and talk to you later.